Hey everybody, welcome back to Mel's Board Game Room. So today I'm doing my top 9 games of all the games I've played during the month of July. So before we get into that, let's have a look at the stats. In July, I have played 49 plays of 35 different games. That was all at 3 locations. And 16 players, and that was 3% of my base game collection that got played. Actually, if you look at the bottom graph there was a lot of days where I was not playing, way more than there was days where I was playing. But luckily, when we were playing, we played a lot. So that was great for July. So let's get started with our top 9. In number 9 position, for all the games I played in the month of July, I have the Reckoners. So in July, I attended the RPG-a-thon, which is a board game event that it's a board game RPG event that takes place over 2 weekends. I was there for the first weekend in Edmonton, and I was actually live streaming from that. So if you follow my channel, you probably see some of those videos. And one of the games that we played was the Reckoners. And this one was so interesting. It was introduced by my friend Arsan, and it's a dice chucking game. So super satisfying game, cooperative. We're all playing together. Components are unreal with these. All the locations are like a game tray, and you have like the main board that's also the game tray, and that also represents like the main bad guy you're going to need to try to defeat. All the different locations, they'll have different bad guys that comes in, and you want to defeat them. Now you defeat them, another one comes in. Like it's not going to stop. But when you defeat them, you do get a benefit. And then you're able to kind of slowly pick away at the bad guy, the main guy. And you're trying to do that before they destroy all of the bystanders, basically. And I think it's like a town folks. I'm not sure what they're called, the witness. But anyway, so you're trying to do that before they're all destroyed and before we're all destroyed as well. So honestly, couple of rounds at the end there, I was like, okay, we're not making it. We're just not gonna make it. And you roll the dice depending on what's on the dice, what you're going to activate. And there's some things that you can do to kind of assist each other. We'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go there and do this so that we can defeat that guy and get that benefit. Maybe you guys go there and start removing some of these barricades or different thing that happens. And then when that happens, like at the end, we won just barely, but we did win. So I was like, whoa, I thought we're goners. But it's a very interesting game. So area control, dice checking, it's because you're definitely kind of going from locations to locations and trying to make sure that you don't kind of fully lose control of one area. Cooperative game. So good. It was so good. But that was the Reckoners, my number 9. In number 8 position for the month of July, it is Dice Throne Season 1 Reroll. So if I'm introducing Dice Throne to somebody, most of the time, the Season 1 is what I go to. It's just straightforward characters that are nice and easy to grasp. The Acme Library has been hosting game days on Thursdays, and I've attended a couple of times. And the first time I did bring Dice Throne, second time I brought Dice Throne again. Or did I bring it? No, I didn't bring it, but the people that attended ended up coming to my house for another game day afterwards. And then we played Dice Throne at that point, and it was a hit because Dice Throne is so good. This is another dice battling game. This one's not cooperative. You are battling each other. Unless you have the Dice Throne Adventure, the Dice Throne Mission, where you can then kind of play cooperative. But that kind of totally changed the feel of the game. And it's still really good. But this one is you have your player board. On this player board, there are different attacks that you can activate depending on what you roll on the dice. The dice will have a bunch of different icons or numbered from 1 to 6. So if you get like an icon combination that activates the one attack, then you can do that. Or if you get a large straight or small straight, then you can activate that attack. If you get all 6, all the same icon, then you activate your ultimate attack. That hits hard and it's undefendable because when you get attacked by somebody else, you can normally roll your your defense roll against them. Sometimes it hits back, sometimes it avoids some of the damage, sometimes it gives you different things that you can then later utilize. We ended up playing like a 6-player of this, so it was a lot of players. We did it a bit quicker, so we lowered our health to start, just so it wasn't quite as long a game, but it was well received. This is one that I do like to introduce new gamers to, and that was my number 8 dice throne. In number 7 position is Trolls and Princesses. So my friend Carla, who's my co-host for my podcast, has been talking about this one, and I was curious, and it was available on Amazon, fairly inexpensive, so I ended up getting my own copy. This is a great looking game, and it is very interesting because you have your it's basically an area control game. You have your workers, you're going to send them and do things. Now, what is interesting is if you already have a worker there and you send more workers, then your action becomes more powerful of what you can accomplish at that location. Now, eventually, all of your trolls are out on your board and you can move them around, but then you're going to have to activate the thing that allows you to move them around. And then you can also send them to the village, to the main round board in the middle. Then you can go to the village and do different things there as well. And then, so your trolls, you're kind of developing these caves, you're mining what's in there, and you're trying to befriend these princesses and kidnap them, basically, to invite them to come and stay in this nice little room that you have to have set up so they can stay in these fancy princesses' bread. And the whole theme is interesting. It's a little ridiculous, but this is a nice, satisfying game. It's a little crunchy. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot to go. And I remember okay, what can I activate? Because as you activate the different locations, some of the actions have costs. So you have to have collected the resources, and there's cards that you can get. And there's, so you're trying to maximize what you're going to do at the very end to try to win. And I can't remember who won, but I held my own pretty good in this game. So that was Trolls and Princesses, my number 7. Then in number 6 position for the month of July is Tobago. Okay. Wow. So Tobago felt really unique. It's not a deduction game. It's a reverse deduction game. So basically you have this big map. There's all these different terrains. There's 3D little components you're going to add to this map. So you'll have huts, so you'll have palm trees, and you'll have different things on this map. And you're trying to find a treasure. But instead of taking the rules and finding out what the rules are, you pick the rules. There are 3 or 4 different type of treasures that can go out. And you're going to look from your card and add rules to one of the treasure. And once it's kind of narrowed down to a fair bit, then you'll add your token. Say, okay, well, it needs to be within 3 space from a beach. And it's touching a hut. So then be like, okay, well then only these spaces are possible for this treasure. And you're trying to keep adding rules to the treasure until there's only one possible place. And then you're kind of racing to get your little Jeep to that location so you can collect the treasure. Now, when you collect the treasure, everybody who added a rule to that one will have an interest in the treasure. So for every rule, you're going to take some treasure cards and you add extra treasure cards as well. And then the person who found the treasure also gets to kind of get an extra pick. And then you're going to got these treasures are added into it. Some of them you can see, some of them the others see. So you have some idea of what's in there. And in the beginning, all the treasures are good. But as you get into the game, some of the treasures are actually cursed and gives you negative points. So then you're going to take turns. Okay, well, I was participating in that. You have this and you decide, do I take this treasure or do I pass? Now, if it's a curse, you don't get to pass. You take. So, okay, do I take it? Do I pass? It's well, I saw better out there. But doesn't mean that it's coming right out, right? It's like, it's not bad. Maybe I'll take it. It's like, no, I saw better. I'm passing. Then the other person looks at it and they have to decide, do they take this treasure or do they dump it? And, so you're doing this until the treasure's all distributed. But then once like, okay, so the person, like, because there's a hierarchy to this. And then as you pick treasures, you kind of get removed. So maybe because the rules showed whether it was like your rule, like whether you contributed to that rule or not. So it shows who gets to pick next first, right? So, and you're doing this and then you keep going and then until you collect all the treasure cards, and then it's whoever has the most points win. It was so neat. Now, I played with my friend Kayla. She doesn't like deduction games. So I was like, I'm not sure if this is going to be something you enjoy. I know you don't really care for deduction games, but she'll love this one because this is the reverse deduction aspect kind of totally changed the feel of the game. So good. That was my number 6, Tobago. Then in number 5 position for the month of July was Delta. I received a gift card from my work and I was like, hey, that's going to be a board games. And then I was like, hey, I don't know which one should I get. So I was kind of just purchasing blind. And then I picked Delta for mainly the look of it. And this was good. Oh, this was so good. So you have all these different areas on the main board. It's like a deck builder because you have your cards in your deck that have different characters that you can activate at the different location, depending on where you play them, what you get to do there. And then, so you might be getting some resources. You might be spreading out on the map. You might be like doing different things. But you will end up placing a card at each location, but you kind of decide, and then you want to try to get like majority at that because your card does have like a value to them, but then also have like special abilities that they can activate. So like, okay, so I'm going to put it there to activate this. So I'm going to spread this way and I need to have this many resources, which I do have. So I'm going to spend that here. And then I now have control of this location as well. So, and you're spreading, which is good because that's part of my goals, or whatever is going on. And then they'll be like, because it's steampunk, you get these steampunk animals and you're trying to collect them as well, and now you kind of have to decide like if you're going to try to add them or keep them in your deck, and it's very interesting. Lots of neat decisions to make. Like I said, I kind of purchased this one blind, but it was good. Such a neat game. We really enjoyed it. So far, I still only have played it the one time, so I'll have to get it to the table again. But Delta, great game, and that was my number 5. And number 4 position for the month of July is Royals. This is a game that I had played at Melcon 2 years ago. With my friend Michael, and was like, okay, I want this game, and it just wasn't available anywhere. And then we did a list of our top 9 games that I can't remember, like our hidden gems, and then this one was on my list. And Carla was like, oh, well, I'll keep an eye out for that. She found me a copy. I think it was Board Game Bliss that all of a sudden had it available. So ended up getting my own copy. She ended up coming over. We played it. Still so good. So far, I have only played this at 2 players. So you can play 2 to 4 players. I think, is it 2 to 4? Or is it 2 to 5 players? Now, yeah, at a higher player count, probably is better. At a 2-player count was still amazing. So you're going to collect these cards that have shields on them. And then once you have, kind of like Ticket to Ride style, you can take so much of the face up or the face down and you're collecting them. And then when you have so many of the one country, you can spend those shields to influence that particular location, or like a different location that has that cost, for that country. Now, when you do that, if you're the first one to do it, you get a little token that gives you a point. That's great. And then there's a royal that's attached to it. Could be the king, could be the queen, could be the I don't know, the Duke or the Cardinal or a bunch of different things, right? And then you're going to put a token onto that particular royal showing that you are kind of showing influence towards them. So your word has some power there. And you're going to be doing that. Now, every so often there'll be a card that comes up that'll be like, okay, we're scoring. And you're going to look at each of the location who has the majority influence in that whole country, and you get so many points. Second place gets so many points, and so on. And so you're trying to get control of as many countries as you can, and then you're going to try to bump out the other players out of that area so that you can gain higher control. So I was really set up. I had access to a lot. Then Carla came and she kind of booted me out of a bunch. I'm like going by trying to boot her back out. Again, I can't remember who won, but then afterwards, at the end of the game, you kind of do the third and final scoring of the area, but you're also going to look at the royal and see who has the most influence with each royals, and then you get that. Now, if it's tied for first, then you split the points of the royal, and actually the royal does kind of break apart as like two puzzle pieces, so you can share the points that way, and then it's whoever has the most points, the winner. So satisfying, super simple game. And it is 100% an area control game. This is the kind of hand management area control game, and it's so good. So good. And that is my number 4, Royals. Then in number 3 position, I've got River of Gold. So this was another one that I was spending some gift card money on, and I decided to get this one. Now, firstly, when this game showed up, it is pretty. There is so much gold leaf design aspect that makes this game pop. It's beautiful to look at. I'm pretty sure I only have the retail copy because I did purchase it through Amazon. So I'm pretty sure it's just a retail copy, but very neat. And it's so satisfying. So you have the river, you have your like little boat that's in place. And then you decide, okay, well, you're going to roll the dice. And then you decide if you are satisfied with that. There might be some special ability that allows you to re-roll or kind of manipulate the dice a little bit. And then you can either move your boat that way or activate the location of where the dice is. So you kind of decide what you want to do. Now, if you move your boat, depending on where it lands, you get to activate anything that's attached that is yours in that location, or you can add some tiles, kind of like buildings or something, along this river that gives you access to more things. And then when you kind of activate some of the stuff there, then it gives you kind of control on the different location on the side of the river. You have the bigger thing. Then you're going to move your token forward every time you kind of generate influence there. The game is so good. It's so satisfying. It's really neat. Beautiful components, theme, the gold that shines everywhere. So neat. And like this was a game that everybody was talking about. And I'm like, well, okay, I will try it. I went on reputation alone, and they know what they're talking about because this is a great game. So I hope you gave it a try if you haven't already. And that's my number 3, River of Gold. Then in number 2 position is a game that just arrived through my Kickstarter. This was by far my longest Kickstarter. It backed in 2022, and that is the Dark Quarters. So Lucky Duck game, this is kind of like a sequel, similar style game to Destinies with Chronicles of Crime components. It is app driven, so you're going to need to have your phone nearby. You're going to be scanning QR codes lots. Now, it plays like Destinies, where on my turn, I control the app. On the other player's turn, they control their own app as well. They decide what they want to do. They're going to be scanning their own things. They can read their own portion. And where it's a little bit like Chronicles of Crime is we have these location tiles. So instead of just a big map where you kind of add stuff quite like Destinies, we have a map that is the board of New Orleans. And it's just kind of like a city thing. And then you're going to be visiting different locations, and it's going to show you on the app, say, over in this area is this thing, and you can put a token on it, and you're going to pull out that card to show what's at that location. And then you can go there, And then if there's people there, you can put their little minis there. Now this game, and this is behind me, I don't know if you can look right here, but it's 4 boxes. It's a lot of components when you went all in the Kickstarter, which I did. So there's 3 boxes that's just scenarios and stories. And then there's another box that's just kind of all extra miniatures. And it's darker. So it's kind of voodoo magic. We're all investigators, arcane investigators for this group. And we all have these dark background stories. So the story aspect is rich. It's neat. It's, yes, a little gruesome, so it starts, there was a murder. We're going to the murder scene because the police is like, this is beyond us. We need to call like the arcane investigators. So we show up. They're not all that pleased for us to be there anyways. And then, but there's like these side little things that you're going to go. And it's like, okay, so, and as you develop, there's different things like, okay, well, maybe you should go and verify this kind of similar to this other crime that was part of your own past. So you can send that character to kind of look at that. And then each character will have their own little story as well, depending on who you decide you're playing with, and they can go and inspect that aspect and kind of develop your own story of your side as well. Now, this game plays long, 120 to 150 or 180 minutes, so it's a little long, but the app does kind of mitigate that really well. As you play the game, go through the story, you will get intermission that's going to happen, and certain things happens where you're going to collect different stuff, and then you can spend some of the gold to get different items, and you can do all that. And then the game gives you, do you want to keep going, or would you like to pause the game here? So you could walk away. Now it's like, great, now you have this game all over to people. No, you don't, because you can pack it all out. The game is going to keep track of like, okay, where are you in your skills? What items do you have? And then it saves that. And then you can come out and say, okay, distribute this. This is where you're at. And it was this person's turn, and keep going. That's so clever. That's so well. And then in the Destinies style, you will have different things that comes up where you're going to have to do skill tests. You're going to roll the dice. Now, you always have your 2 main dice, but you can collect extra dice depending on what happens. And the app will be like, hey, well, you did this and she was pleased with you, take an extra dice. It's like, now you have an extra dice. So you take the dice, you roll them, and depending on the number that you get, that tallies up, you're going to look on your board and say, okay, well, I rolled a 9, so I'm going to go all the way to the 9 in this type of skill. And you're going to see where the cubes are on this scale. Say, okay, well, that gives me, there's 1 or 2 cube that's like left to this. So in the app, you'll be like, okay, I did the skill test. My success was a 2. And then the story develops and goes, okay, based on that, this is what happens. Now you're going to be like kind of upgrading your skills and move these cubes lower. So there's more cubes available at lower numbers, depending on what you roll. So good. It was so good. I am enjoying this. So rich, so much story there. Yes, kind of darker theme, but like you get that who done it, what's going on. You got to try to figure it out. And I think it's a great game. So that was The Dark Quarters, my number 2. Now, in number 1 position is an older game. And this is a game that my co-host, my podcast co-host, keeps talking about, and I have never played it. And then I bought it. Well, I bought it. It was given to me for my birthday, and that is Grand Austria Hotel. So Carla came over. I was like, let's play this. Show this to me. And then we played it, and she was right. This game is so satisfying. So you're collecting like staff for your hotel. You're collecting guests that's going to come and stay at your hotel, and you're kind of applying these, and there's dice. Like you roll the dice. There's a lot of dice. You roll all the dice, and depending on where the numbers go, you're going to put them on the board, and it's going to be assigned to different action of what you can do. And you're going to take your turn deciding, okay, well, I'm going to take this dice. I'm doing this action. But you take one of those dice away. So, because if there's 4 dice there, then you're doing that action at a power 4. But now if I want to do the same action, you took one of those dice away, then I'm doing it at a power of 3. So, well, geez, thanks a lot, Carla. So, but, it's like you do end up getting staff that might mitigate that. It could be like, hey, well, every time you do a dice 3 or 4 action, you can count it as an extra from what the total dice is. So I was like, oh, well, that's great. I'll do that. Or was like, every time you purchase this, you get a discount. Or so it's so interesting. Which ones do you want to keep? Which one do you want to try to complete? Which guests do you want to send into your hotel? And you're going to be serving them what they want to eat. Like it's like you feed them, and then you can put them in one of the rooms in your hotel. And then you're trying to create these clusters. And when you build whole clusters of one color, you get so bonus points as well. And at the end of each round, depending on how far you've gone on the track, the reputation track or something like that, then you get certain points for that. But then that kind of resets or sets you back, and then you want to build it back up again. It was satisfying. It was great. It was such a great game. I know I should went on and on about this game all the time now because it is just that good. And that was my number one, Grand Austria Hotel. So let's have a look at all the 9 games I made, my top 9 games for the month of July this year. And there's the stats again. So 49 plays of 35 different games. And it was just a fun, great month. I did attend the RPG-a-thon. I attended the Acme Library game days, and I hosted a couple of games at my house. And I even went and visited my friend Carla at her campsite and played some games there. I don't think that was in July, though. I think that was in August. So you'll have to wait next month to see what those games were. And here's all the games that got played. So many great games, and unfortunately they cannot all be the top 9. But if you want to follow me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. I am also on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room, and my podcast with my friend Carla is called The Board Game Specialist, and I'm also on YouTube, Mel's Board Game Room. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye everybody.